So the Analog Discovery 2 offers many options as far as test equipment and also power supplies, and that's what we're going to deal with today. Very simple offering, allows you to go from a 0 to 5 volt power supply, the power being supplied from the USB port, and that is the limitation. So we have the Waveforms software up on the screen. And what we're going to do is choose the supplies option. I have it scrunched down a little bit so it fits on the window better. And I click on that and we're in there and it's running. Not really running yet because anytime you have a tab within Analog Discovery 2 and it has a green arrow, you got to click on that to run it. So we're going to click this to run the supplies, and we have all the options down here. One nice thing is this system monitor. If I click on that, it'll give me the status on the USB supply coming from my laptop. And it'll give you the current that is currently being used and the voltage, and it'll give you the temperature. These are inside the Analog Discovery 2, obviously at that high a temperature. To go directly to the power supplies and how they operate, there's two power supplies, a V plus and a V minus, and those two come off the Analog Discovery 2, and I have my leads labeled V plus and V minus so it's easier to find them. And as always, we have to have a common ground, so I have a ground connected from there. So we have our Analog Discovery 2 power supplies hooked up to a breadboard so that we can measure them. I also have this meter hooked up. I have it set to measure DC voltage, and I have the red lead on this place, so I have a good place to tie things down. And I have the V minus lead on here so I can move that around and do it, and we have the common for the meter on the ground also. So if we go back to the interface, you can see there is a master enable on. If I click it, it'll go between on and off. The purpose for this is that if I want the plus and the minus voltage supplies to come on at exactly the same time, this is the master control for power to give you voltage at the leads from the Analog Discovery 2. So if I hit this, both these supplies could come on at the exact same time. Now, level 2 is I can turn these devices on and off also. And just by clicking them, the status changes to on, and they're both on. So now if I take master off, they'll both go into a ready state, and there'll be no voltages coming at the wires from the Analog Discovery 2 for the supply. As soon as I hit that on, we'll get them for the plus and the minus, and you can see the voltage showing up on the meter at this point. Now, adjusting the voltages, there are a couple different methods. One is a nice little pull down menu where we can just select the voltage, and you can see the V plus voltage, which I'm measuring on my meter. I set it to 4.5 volts by doing the pull down, and I'm measuring that on the meter. The other next feature is I can set a minimum or a maximum voltage. If I set the maximum voltage to 3 volts, you'll notice that my slider menu has changed to indicate 5 millivolts to 3 millivolts, which is the minimum maximum voltage that I selected. That might be useful in some cases. I'm going to change the maximum voltage back to 5. The other thing I can do, I'll watch the meter face at the same time while I'm just moving the slider, and you'll notice that the voltage is changing. And maybe the last way to do it is just click in here and select the voltage and type it in. So if I type 3.5 and I hit enter, we can see that the meter changes to 3.5 volts. And the minus voltage works exactly the same way with all those different options for changing the voltage and working with it. Another feature might be used if you do need a plus and a minus voltage. If I click on this tracking button or arrow, and I then move and use the sliders to change the voltage, you'll notice that the minus and the plus voltage adjustments are locked onto each other, and that allows me to get a plus and minus voltage of the same without me having to go around and change settings for both of these. I will show you. I'll move the meter connection to the V minus just to show you that we are getting minus 4 volts. When I move my connection to the V minus connection, that's working correctly from the USB. So a lot of options available to you. Maybe a limited use power supply, but I've already been in a spot where I'm sitting at home wanting to power a circuit or work with 2 or 3 ICs on a breadboard, and I did not have a power supply for that in a convenient location, so I used my analog discovery. The other nice thing is that the power supply will work at the same time as the other things in the analog discovery 2, like the logic analyzer, so you can use them at the same time, which is a nice feature.